I think you're right 100%. You know what? I know this is gonna piss Lord off to no end, but I give Tim a little credit for buying that Panerai. Whether he's playing an angle or not, I don't know. But at least he bought something that's outside the box. I'll give him that. I will give him that.
I see. See, I think we should not. No, no, look. Well, hold on. I've started echoing into myself somehow. That shows me being the pro. Look, there's a for those of us in the Archieverse, there's a little bit of self consciousness that we have because we're normal human beings. That are we just sheep or are we not sheep? Basically, is the question. And we've all followed Archie's advice, and I thought it was like I forgot his name, but he did an analysis of Archie, and basically Archie is he knows his stuff, but he only knows what he likes. So as soon as
Right.
it's outside of what he likes, it's a shitter. It's as simple as that. So
Right.
either it's a
Yeah.
Rolex and it's fantastic, or it's a shitter. And I think most of us in the watch sort of space realize that's probably not true, and we want to go to that next level. But you're not going to overtake the pontiff, so fuck it. They're all shitters.
I think it's a combination of the two, though. I think a lot of people listen to Archie, and then like when people are finally starting to say like, "Hey, I want to be independent. I want to think for myself." That's when the fucking market decided to like increase, and then people are like, "Oh shit, maybe Archie was onto something." You know, all
Yes.
these Omegas are dropping like shit. You know, but the Rolexes are increasing in price. Audemars are increasing in Patek. You know, so I think it became a combination of the two, and now it's kind of it's stuck there.
Yeah, it should be even more extreme, honestly. Like I regret getting the man on the moon, but Archie's a big man on the moon guy.
Allegedly, allegedly. I mean, if the rumors are true and he wants to dump out of it, even though he got one for free, I don't know.
It's pretty funny. Like he's literally treated that Speedmaster as if it was less than nothing, almost. Right? Like it was
Well,
that's an amazing gift, and he's treated it as if it was less than nothing. Like he's treated it worse than if it was a gift of anything else. Like a gift of anything else, you would say, you wouldn't be looking at selling your gifts or talking about
right.
selling the gift, but he was immediately talking about selling it.
Well, it's because you can't flex with it. Like, you got to look at it from Archie's standpoint. Everyone has got a better collection than him now. Like, even the newbies on the ground floor have got a better collection from him, and that obviously drives Archie
Oh, that
up the
does kill him.
wall.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. It definitely kills him because, and you can tell because anytime you see someone who's got a better collection than Arch, he really hates it. Like he hates them. His automatic response is to hate their guts.
yep. I mean, yeah. I haven't watched too many of his watch reviews, but I can imagine he dogs just about every watch, if it's not a Rolex or something along those lines. I mean, like I said, and I think to add insult to injury, it's when you get a Speedmaster gifted to you when you've had a Sky Dweller gifted to you before, it's definitely
Testing. Okay, I clearly can't be playing games at the same time. It's not working. You there, Meech?
yeah, yeah,
You there, Meech?
yeah. I'm still here.
There we go. Yeah, something just went terribly wrong, basically.
I don't know. In conclusion, I
Whoa, we
guess
got
it is what it is.
we got interview
For
mode
Arch.
here. That's interesting. Meech, come back. Come back.
Yeah, I'm still in.
Oh, I see some highlighting. Is it just me? No, Meech also got into trouble there. It's interesting. Sorry, I've been having trouble with USB for some reason. I might have to take a look, but basically, I can't seem to run audio and keyboard and mouse and webcam all at the same time. It's just too taxing on whatever it is that's being taxed. which is really terrible, but it seems to be pretty common for USB-C. Let me let me get back in here. I'm not exactly sure what does it. I mean, I can't even do video editing and then get into the Fairlight tab. So as soon as we're using, oh, I think I know what it might be. I think there's a setting with whatever. Oh, Meech is back. Oh, hey, you there?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All of my USB stuff just died.
Hey, at least you're doing better than Shroom. From what I hear, his motherboard exploded, I guess. Not literally, but I just hear like his motherboard's shot.
Yeah. In Australia, that can take a lot of time. Like, it's really shitty out there in Australia. Like, just the government has made it just very difficult in general. Yeah. But basically, like in Australia, they made it so that if any company wants to import a product, you have to have exclusive agreements with Australian distributors, and then the warranties get served by the distributor, but might have nothing to do with the company. So, for example, if Asus wants to sell motherboards in Australia, they can't just sell them in Australia. They have to have a relationship with a distributor in Australia, and that's an exclusive relationship that is protected by government. And the warranties flow via the distributor. So if you happen to have a shitty distributor, and they're not the manufacturer, they're not really equipped to handle this shit. It's just basically a man in the middle that is going to fuck shit up. So if you got any problems with computer hardware in Australia, it's a nightmare.
Well, that isn't like, in a nutshell, Australia gets like they're like pretty much last on the totem pole, right? So any new releases, whether it be for cars, electronics, food, like they're the last ones to get it, right? And it's usually like months behind everybody else.
Um, I wouldn't say it's any worse than Europe. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, I'd say it's not any worse than Europe, and prices are pretty on the money. Like there used to be this idea, like pre-internet, where you could look these things up. That overseas it's cheaper. There's a place overseas where it's cheaper, but I think pretty much the world is fully arbitraged out at this point.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
probably.
like there used to be a difference between U.S. prices and Australian prices, but it's because of the misconception that American prices don't include tax. So depending on where you are, it looks way closer than not. But if you happen to be in a state without tax, sure. But the same is true in America, where it's like, oh, it'd be nice to get that in a no tax state. But I think most of us have stopped trying to play those state arbitrage games because it's just it's it's not enough. Like there's no state that has taxes here above 10 point something percent, I think. Is that right, Meech?
I'm
I
at
think like
7.9%, but Iowa's tax free.
oh, okay, so it's a border state that's close enough for you, you can do that.
I mean, I could. So, like, I think South Dakota and Wisconsin are also taxed. No, I think Wisconsin's taxed. I have no idea what Wisconsin is, but I think South
Yeah.
Dakota is. And I'm close enough to technically, I'm only an hour away from South Dakota,
Hmm.
and I'm like an hour away from the Iowa borderline. Um, but I really
It's
wouldn't
hard to
want to.
make that work because I mean, an hour of travel means you're probably
Exactly.
talking 120 miles of traveling total plus the time. You start
Plus the
having to talk
gas,
about
which is a
having
hundred
pretty
dollars anyway. So it's like, fuck it. I may as well pay the tax.
exactly. And when you're dealing with like say a watch like a Rolex, I've thought about it for like split seconds, but you're just so lucky to be able to get the your hands on the deal that you don't want to complicate it by trying to exercise some state tax arbitrage.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, well, if you don't know like, I don't know anybody in Iowa, so I'd have to get like a PO box, and that PO box is going to cost me probably get $25 for the year, and then you have like a PO box that you just don't use that's in a different state. Like, what's the
Yeah.
point?
Yeah. I actually know not a Las Vegas one. I actually have heard of a dealer in I won't say where, but I've heard of a Rolex dealer that says they are willing to ship wherever.
Plenty of dealers do. Plenty of Rolex dealers
Really?
do.
I thought that was just like can't do
It
that with
depends
Rolex.
on who you are. I shouldn't say plenty of people. So for myself, anyways, if I called up, if I went to my local boutique and said, "Hey, I want to ship a watch down to Florida," they said, "All right, we'll do it," because they know me and they know I'm local and they know I've been there enough, so I have credibility.
Hmm.
If I went to one of my Minneapolis dealers and I said, "Hey, I want to ship out to Florida," they would say, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And I put my credit on the line and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Um, but like I said, it depends. Now, if I did this if I walked into there's another Minneapolis dealer that I don't do any business with, but I know they sell Rolex. If I walked in and said, "Hey, I would like to buy this watch out of your display case. Hey, can you ship it down to Florida?" They would tell me to get fucked, because they
Right.
don't know me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a Rolex directive. So I mean, obviously, dealers can do what they want with Rolex directives. Rules are made to be broken. So
I think it is. I think it has something to do with your family owned too. Like, I think if you're a legitimate Rolex boutique, I think you might actually, from a sales rep perspective, I think you might actually have to adhere to those rules. But if you are family owned, yeah, I think you're right. I think you can bend some of those rules for your quote unquote VIPs.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think any Rolex directive is like set in stone. It's just that it just depends on the AD, and like if they're corporately aligned, they won't like bending the rules because it puts the entire business at risk from their
Right.
perspective. It's like, well, why would we ever entertain that? I mean, Rolex told us to do X, so we got to do X. But some things aren't directives. Like I heard Rolex saying to ADs at one point, "You guys got to start like giving people merchandise that are on the waiting list, that haven't gotten watches yet. Just sort of like a say hi, keep the lead active type thing." It's like, are you fucking kidding? You're sending flippers like Rolex pouches and stuff. I bought tons of Rolex. They haven't sent me a pouch.
Right. And it's funny too because I remember I was at the Twin Cities dealer one time and I was on my way out and I said, "Hey," because he had a stack of catalogs there. I said, "Hey, can I have one of these?" They said, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Take up to two if you want." And I said, "Okay, I only need one." And I
Yeah.
grabbed it and I went down to my boutique one. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, do you have a catalog that I can take?" And I think so. The gal was actually about to reach back and get me one, but the only dude who actually works there immediately fucking cock blocked me and said, "Don't give him one." He said, "It's a new directive. Rolex is going green, and we're not giving out catalogs anymore." And she's like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's a part of the green initiative." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." I'm like, "You motherfucker, Jesus
That's
Christ!"
awesome. Well, I mean, I never received a catalog from an AD. Someone said the other day, I got a catalog, and I was like, was that is that good? I'm like, look, I've gotten a lot of allocation pieces. I got a Daytona. I never got a
Right.
catalog. So
See,
you
I
tell
don't
me
get
if it's
why
good.
catalogs are so hard to get for some reason. Like I have catalogs for the last 3 years and two Rolex magazines. Like they just give
Mhm.
them to me like it really is like a catalog type thing. I don't
Right.
get why people complain they're so hard to get.
Yeah. Well, it just depends. So I mean, um, yesterday, da, 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 da.
Ooh, look at that.
Is this a good one? Like I've never really bothered. I mean, it's hardcover. I mean, that's pretty cool. This
Yeah,
is
I think
crispy,
it's
crispy,
good.
never used, crispy.
They're all the same essentially, as far as their build and whatnot. But
Yeah,
I know they do make a couple variants. So I remember one time I had a Rolex book. It had the Pepsi GMT on it, and I ended up putting too much. No, what the hell was I doing? I don't know, but I ended up bending the cover somehow. Like it was the corner. I'm like, fuck.
right.
So I just said, fuck it. I'm just gonna throw it away. And then I know, like hindsight, I should have kept it. So I asked for another catalog, and they gave me one with the Submariner on it. It was the same year, but it was a
Yeah.
Submariner. So I know they make two variants, possibly even three variants for probably different areas. But I mean, I think they're great. I mean, I just collect them because I don't know. Allegedly, they're hard. If they weren't hard, I probably wouldn't fuck with them, honestly.
Well, she opened the cabinet and they had about like 200 in there.
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
remember I remember Archie was fucking bitching. Because everyone else would show up on a stream like, "Hey, Arch, I got a catalog," and Arch was like, like a day earlier, it's complaining like, "They wouldn't
But
even give me a fucking catalog."
but Archie has no business in an AD, literally. So I don't I don't know why he thinks that they're just giving catalogs to people who have no business there. Like they don't know anyone. They've just wandered in,
Well, I do
cracked a
agree.
few awkward jokes, and then it's like, "Can I have a catalog?"
Well, I do kind of agree though. That should be like the standard normal. So like, you walk into Omega and like they should like that's like the first thing they stuff into your face is a catalog. I mean, I feel like you should get some type of catalog. Maybe not like a master catalog or a grand catalog, but like even a brochure would be kind of nice, honestly.
I've never
Um,
bothered to step into an Omega boutique. I won't be
they're
caught dead
okay.
wearing one. No, no, won't be caught dead.
It's all about the
With
Pams.
all of this everyone's so proud to say they hate Rolex. It's like, fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. It's not like Omega's doing, like Showcase Watches, big Omega guy now, right? Always has been, but now totally big upping Omega, right? And his latest video is talking about how they're going to make an even more expensive Ed White. I'm like, what the fuck? You
White
you
gold
complain
and
about
white, yeah,
Rolex, but
sure.
I mean they're not charging $17,000 for even the Daytona.
Well, I seen Omega. Apparently, Omega skyrocketed their prices for this upcoming year, like 9.1% increase or something like that. Um, but like a lot of people are complaining about. It. I'm like, well, quite frankly, I don't blame Omega for going up to like 10% increase. Fuck you
10
guys. I hope they fleece the
10%,
hell
but
out of you.
well, 10%'s like minor compared to what they've been doing with anything released in the last year and a half or
Well,
two
no, it's not
years.
even that. It's just like Omega watched you fucking idiots pay $500 or at least $300 over for a plastic fake Speedmaster. So why the fuck wouldn't they take advantage of that and say, "All right, you want to pay like double for a plastic watch, or you can pay double for ours then"? Like, why wouldn't you? I don't blame them.
Yeah, I guess so. Like to me, it's sort of like the Seiko thing, where Seiko used to be a really great recommendation, in my opinion, for like starter watch, medium end, low end,
Right.
whatever. It's a good watch. Now the prices are just so high. I'm like, don't bother with Seiko. They got a lot of nice watches. It's just too expensive, all of them. Even the new
I think it's Grand
GMTs, I
Seiko
think, are
though. I
too
think Grand
expensive.
Seiko's to blame on that. I think ultimately Grand Seiko went the lesser of two evils and said, "Hey, Grand Seiko no longer wants to be this image of poor, cheap Chinese quality, so they're going to raise the prices of Seikos until they're level with Grand Seiko, and then they're just going to merge the brand, rather than rename themselves and start all the way at the bottom." Which is honestly, for what it's worth, it's the smarter move to do.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't know. Like, so I really like the spring drive movement. I want to see one in person. I haven't had a chance. I want to see like how perfect is that. I'd love to see like some 480 FPS shots of the spring drive in action. Because the idea of
Mm.
having like literally perfect motion, that is so difficult. But I don't like any of their designs. I'm not saying I hate them. I'm just saying like nothing at
It's
all is like
overhyped.
even
It's
remotely.
overhyped, guys. It's 100% overhyped.
They might eventually. I mean, they're putting out enough designs. They might eventually make one that I must have. But yeah, I mean, to me, the closest one that I must have is not a Grand Seiko. Is I really like the Cocktail Times, the dial, and it's a kind of a
Yeah,
watch type
I
that
know
I
what you
don't
ones you're
have.
talking about. I owned one actually. They're not bad. I've owned two actually.
I
They're
think
not
they're
terrible.
pretty.
The
They're pretty,
bracelets
and
suck, but
they cost the right amount of money for a watch that's pretty. You know, although
yeah.
the
So
strap's
I
probably
had.
garbage.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad for what you're getting here. And if Lord was here, he'd have a massive erection for from what I'm about to say. But I bought the chocolate dial one, and it was the deployant butterfly style clasp. I paid. So technically I paid. So I actually bought it from my local Seiko dealer here, which is only about 20 minutes away. They were mom and pop, so I paid massive premium on it essentially. So I paid like $500 for it. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. The strap was actually very comfortable. It's quite comfortable actually. Um, Easy to adjust, easy to work with. The dial itself was absolutely magnificent. Wasn't bad. I think I took like a $50 loss on it, if I remember correctly, because I bought it at MSRP price.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I got to slow down with any shitters, to be honest.
I kind of want to buy shitters. Like that was the whole point of buying the day date. That would have been like, all right, I'm done for X amount of years now. Now I can just fuck around and buy like shit, like complete garbage, like Tag Heuer's, IWC, Zenith. You know, I can fuck around a little bit.
That's good. Yeah. So for you, getting the Batgirl was sort of how do we say? I've got I've got clearly a hot watch, and I don't need to make any excuses anymore. I'm good. Yeah. Like it's sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
a post Batgirl sort of moment.
Well, I mean, the day date was always in the cards, but I didn't know if I'd really want one at the time, and just opportunity kind of rose up for it. So I technically still have it. It's just currently being torn apart right now on a service desk, but we'll see what
So what's
happens.
happening with it? So you got it. You got a good deal on the date at 36, and then it sort of half moved on the date, so it didn't flip properly.
Correct. And had it done its full interval, it would have landed incorrectly on the wrong day. The
Hmm.
date would have been correct, but would have skipped over Monday and landed on Tuesday.
Hmm.
Um,
And so did you? So what's happening with the deal?
so in a nutshell here, I called them up and told them what was happening, and they said, "All right, here's what's gonna happen." Because initially I'm like, "Hey, I want my shit back, plus my money." And I get a call from the manager, and he says, "All right," he said, "I understand you want to return it." He said, "But hear me out." He said, "Hear me out." He said, here's what we're preparing to do." He said, "I'll give you back your Submariner, give you back the cash. I paid a little bit on credit card as well." He said, "I'll refund your credit card. Won't even charge you for the restocking fee, and you'll get the tax back. Bob's your uncle, and we get it right the next time around." He said, "Or," he said, "I will give us the opportunity to fix it. We'll refund your credit card $100. We'll give you a $100 gift card for dinner. The service is all taken care of because it's still under warranty, their warranty, not Rolex's warranty.
Right.
It's still carried underneath their warranty." And he said, "How about this? To sweeten it, to kind of smooth the layers around," he said, "I'll put you in the top 10 for the 321 Ed White." How does that sound?
Wait, this is an AD. That
This is an 80. Yep.
oh, interesting. Okay.
So I said, "Sure, I'll give you the opportunity to fix it because the amount of shit that they're offering me, I'd be a dick to kind of say no right off the bat."
Right.
So
That's
we'll
very
see what
fair. I
happens.
mean, it really just depended on whether or not you you were happy to see it broken. So it could legitimately go back, no skin on you, basically.
I don't know. I mean, I know it seems a little odd to say, but worst case scenario, I mean, our best case scenario, excuse me, would be user error on my end. That way I
Hmm.
get it back right away. Worst case scenario goes all the way back to Rolex and Omega eats the service charge, obviously. But he did ask me, he's like, "Well, did you set it incorrectly?" He said, "You don't seem like the type." And I said, "No." And I said, "But," I said, "How long have you've had this in the display case since August, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I'm sure at some point you guys probably took it out. Somebody, maybe not you directly, but someone
Hmm.
on your team." And I said, "I'm not saying it's your team member's fault, but you took it out and showed it to somebody, and somebody, just casually set the time, and they weren't paying attention, and they threw it in and started running it." And I said, it could be something like that, or who knows? Maybe something's loose. So I
Is a
guess we'll
day
soon
date
find out.
that complicated to set?
No, no, this one's a double quick set. So I think so. When you move the crown towards you, you set the date. When you move the crown forward, you set both. I think,
Hmm.
unless I got it backwards. Um, but no, in general, no, it's not hard to set.
Okay.
It just
Yeah.
takes some getting
So
used to.
shouldn't really be a problem. It sounds like a lot less painful than setting a modern GMT Master 2.
I don't set my GMT. I would never use my GMT for anything. Even if I did travel, I wouldn't use it for anything.
What do you mean?
I just own the GMT because I own it. Um,
You don't
that's
wear the
about it.
Batgirl?
No, I mean I wear the back row, but if I even if I did travel, I would never set it to a second time zone. I just have no use for it. But I just
Right.
own it, like I said, because I'd rather own it than some punter who really wants it, who's really dreaming about it, who's grinding every day, having three jobs. Fuck that dude. I'll take it from him.
You know, my Batgirl, my wife's Batgirl, has been worn 3 times.
Yeah, I love the Jubilee bracelet. I love the clasp.
No,
I
it's
love the clasp.
gorgeous. It's just yeah, it's my Grail watch, but it's something that I've said I don't deserve yet. So that it just I size it for my wife, and she wears it out on occasion, but it's thoroughly displaced, honestly, by her first watch, the Gold Yacht Master, and now the Gold Daytona. It's like, why would you wear a
I
Batgirl?
think if I had both of those, I'd probably put the back row on reserve anyways. Truth be told, I hardly wear my bluesy. It's yeah.
Yeah. So
I
but
don't know.
I just hate the fact the date is you can't there's no quick set date on the GMT Master 2. I think I prefer the original movement, the GMT Master.
Hmm.
Because as you point out, I don't really care about setting the second hand, the GMT hand independently. So I'd rather just have a quick set date.
Yeah, and just kind of figure out the rest with the GMT hand if you ever needed to. Yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
just that's what the bezel's for. So I don't really see the need to have the unsynchronized hour hand. And even on the GMT on the Explorer 2, which I'm not really using as a GMT, and I just keep slave to the current time zone the way it's meant to be. Even that's a pain in the butt to set because I can't just wind it to the time.
It's
It
jumping,
has to
isn't
be
it?
wound to 24-hour time, and then I still need to play with the hour hand anyway because I got to set the date, and I'm just
Yeah.
24 clicks per day. Like if I'm out by 10 days, it's 240 clicks. That's that sucks. that's, that's
Yeah.
just a chore.
I try not to let my back row die too frequently, or put it this way, I try not to leave it be dead for too long. So I do it like a manual set, which
Hmm.
which I get like I mean
A
it's
manual
fucking
wind.
pointless. Yeah, essentially. So I fucking make sure it's like within 2 days of it being dead, so I can just like quickly wind to the date rather than fuck around with all the hands and shit. So I don't know.
Well,
Maybe I'm
if you let it
lazy.
run out at all, like you got to do everything.
Hmm.
You're having to set the 24-hour time and minutes correctly. Then you have to wind the hours through no matter what because you got to set the date. So it's the same process every single time, and it's long.
Right, right. But I mean, then again, I don't care about the GMT hand. I saw funny enough actually on my Grand Seiko, I used to always set the GMT hand like within 5 minutes of my hour hand because it was aesthetically pleasing. I don't know why, but I just did, and it was a bitch to get it back to within 5 minutes of the fucking hour hand every time I would fucking readjust it. So it's whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down to 2 watches at the moment. They're all in the safe deposit. I just switch between the Hulk and the Daytona, and that might be enough for me, honestly.
Actually, oddly, would you be interested in that watch roll? So, long story short, Amazon, it was technically my fault, but I
Mm.
accidentally reordered it again, and I have no use
Hmm.
for it. And my
You can
UPS is
return.
completely
Why don't you just
closed
return it? What's the?
because I would have to drive an hour away to the next UPS location
Oh, that
to
sucks.
pop into. Well, I mean, technically, I could print out the label, but then I would have to drop it off because you have to go. So apparently, you have to go through the song process in my local one where you have to take it to a certain place, and then you have to get a sticker from them, and then you take it back to the UPS place, and they're only open for like an hour, and you have to go all the way to the
What?
other end and drop it off there, or wait for somebody to come pick it up.
Wow.
Either way,
Do
though,
you
so like the local
do you have
UPS
like a
here is
local
small.
Whole Foods or Coles? I know you're not near one, but they have a drop off, and normally like supermarkets opening hours are better than UPS's opening hours.
So again, so like the small town I lived right next to like really doesn't have shit. So like the next biggest town is an hour away regardless. Like all three of the
Yeah,
next biggest towns
right.
are an hour away from me regardless. So it's like, well, whatever.
Well, you could do
Anyways, I'm too
UPS
fucking
pickup. You
lazy to
can't do
print out the
UPS
label.
pickup.
No,
Not an
the
option.
town is
Wow.
the town's not big enough for it. So, but anyways, I'm too lazy to fucking put in the effort of actually printing out the label and shit like that because I don't have a printer actually. So I have to run into the local library to actually print the
Okay.
fucking label out anyways.
That's all my printer is for, is just returns.
Yeah, I really should buy like one of those like cheap printers, you know, the ones that cost like $50.
Well, you can get a laser printer these days for
Exactly.
incredibly cheap. Like
Ones that
I
plug
just
into your
pulled.
phone.
Yeah, I just use my phone. They all have phone printing these days. As long as you get one that's not intolerably shit. So I got a, what have I got? A Canon or a Brother? I think this is a Brother, which is not, most fantastic brand, but it's got a scanner, a photocopy, and a printer. And it beats the heck out of my HP LaserJet that I bought in like the late 90s, which was great. It was a network printer, and the LaserJets were office printers. So it was like $4,000 MSRP, but I got it at like a business wholesale clearance, liquidation sale, as in literally liquidation, as in the business is out of
Right.
business.
Hmm.
And so it was like ex office equipment. So I picked one up for like $300. But that was always kind of weird once we got into the modern era of Wi-Fi and phones and stuff. It worked, but it was sort of this new one that was only about $200 is way better. And I think they're down to about 150 now for these Brother multifunctions. So I
Yeah,
highly
it's
recommend that. It'll save you
the
so much
printer is like
time
the
for
new
yourself.
fax machine. Like nobody really has one anymore. But
It's just for shipping labels, man. That's that's
pretty
it.
much, yeah. That's the only reason I stopped into my library. So technically, it's like 25 cents per page that you print. But I always give them like
It's such a
like five
pain.
bucks.
For us, it's just convenience. Like I want to make the
Right.
returns easy because otherwise I end up holding on to shit that I didn't actually want and could have returned.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I usually give my library like $5 as donation because you know what, fuck it. It's just nice to have, but it's yeah. I wish they would be more like FedEx because FedEx, I believe, like if you have the label on your phone, like you just scan it like a barcode and then they'll take it from you.
Hmm.
Um, but it's
So
whatever.
what's this
Anyways,
watch roll?
it's a 70. Well, yeah, it's like a $70 watch roll. It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible either.
You got a
It's
link?
got the it's got the sliding cushions. I can send it to you. It's the CD watch roll. Um, when I bought mine, it was $75. I totally forgot. I don't know if it was part of a Black Friday special, but I think they're like $85 now. But I'd send it to you free
CD
of
watch
charge.
roll?
Yeah. Yep.
What's the spelling?
Um. Wow. What the fuck? Hold on. Let me grab the watch roll itself because I think
Yeah.
it's actually a lot longer. It's like Cosmic Graph Design or some shit like that.
Because I wouldn't mind a watch roll, but I'm not really that pleased by a lot of their designs.
What the fuck did I do with it? I don't know. I figured for like 80, essentially for like $80. That's not terrible.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not
Um,
really a big believer in paying too much for watch containers. Function over luxury for me, but the style that I find most useful, like I don't have much reason to put a watch away outside of my Pelican case. But just overnight for sleeping, I might take the watch off and put it in something. And I've found this has the least amount of steps for putting the watch away and keeping it safe.
I mean,
Like
do
as
you even
in,
zip it up, or do you just like
oh no,
flat?
I totally, because I got a toddler lying around, so it has to survive being pushed off a desk potentially.
Yeah, fair enough. So it's Chrono Design actually. It's Chrono Design. I'd show it to you, but my camera's not working.
That's okay. I'm just not seeing it on Amazon, so I'm not.
Look up Chrono Design 3. Well, I think I just Googled watch roll. And it's like a black and brown case. And I won't say Googled, but I just threw it in a generic search at my Amazon.
Oh, I think I found it. Yeah. This one I'm seeing is 3, but the one I'm seeing has magnetic buttons. So hex
Mine's
shaped.
like a button. Yeah, it's a hexagon shape, but I mean
Yeah.
tomato tomato.
So yeah, this looks okay, and I don't know why more aren't the sliding design. Like I don't want to
I love it.
deconstruct and construct my watch roll every time I want to use it. Like I see
I
so many.
almost busted my No Date sub actually. So Tim sent me a watch roll.
Yeah.
It was a 3-1 that buttons up, and I thought it had it buttoned up solid, and it had
Oh
my
my
No Date
god.
on the outside, and all of a sudden it just popped open, and then the case itself a lot loose of the buttons. I barely caught it before it hit the floor. So
Oh my goodness. So what I like about this is that you put it away safe and it has the least amount of steps, you know?
mhm.
So I take the watch off the wrist, I reclasp it down, and then, I pop it on. There's no real wrong way to pop it on, and then I'm done, right? It's
Right.
safe. Like it's the least amount of steps. I was using this, which is also okay, but I didn't like that it has a separate cushion. So putting the watch on the cushion is an extra step that I wouldn't mind eliminated. So and despite like the amount of advertising that some of these companies do, I ordered about 15, no, not 15. I've ordered 6 of these from different companies, on Amazon. They all look similar.
Right.
And including the one that's most popular, I think WatchPod, they're not similar. As in, there's big differences in quality on a lot of them. And this one is the best one. And it's got the worst
You should
name.
just resort to throwing your watches in a Ziploc bag. I mean, it's about as quick and simple as you can get.
Yeah. So it's this one here, Cheaps or Cheops. So it's the worst name, but it honestly is head and shoulders much better quality than the Watchbox one. And I think they know it too, because despite being chops, it's actually one of the more expensive ones, like $17. And even during Black Friday, it wasn't discounted. But
Interesting.
yeah, really good. Like, and quality, I mean, like the lining is actually relatively flush. There's nothing wonky about the zipping.
Is
And
the case
just,
hard? Like, is it firm? Like,
yeah,
you're not going to crush. All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
For they also include a microfiber, and I do like putting a microfiber. So I've added another step back in, but it's less finicky than the it's less finicky than the case. So I like to put the microfiber there, and then zip it up, just because I really don't want like dust and how do we say,
I basically crud.
yeah, sand staying
Hmm.
here, and then I keep using it watch to watch to watch, and it's going to move around in here potentially. This I can wash or replace. The lining of this I can't. So I have added the step, but it's still a step that's easier than.
I like how you undermine, like you move one step forward, but yet move 2 steps back. Like you undermine your
Well,
own
it's not
process.
2 steps. It's half a step back. It's half a step back. But I'll take that. But if they made this and then had a user washable microfiber or replaceable microfiber, that would be the ultimate. It would.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I'll send. I mean, if you want this one, I'll send you a few photos of it. Or put it
Probably
in the
not.
chat. But
Like
if you
you've
want
got
it, I'll give it to you for free.
you've I get you. Find someone who's in need. I do have a watch roll that's very similar to that currently being disused right now.
Mm.
What I find I don't like about it is no one makes cushions that are actually small enough for us guys and gals that have, under 7 inch wrists.
I'll say this: it fits just about every one of my watches properly, except the Explorer. Like I've got my Explorer on it right
The
now, and
Explorer's got a tiny
bet.
clasp. Yeah, I get you.
I'm willing to bet. Yeah, that I should pull it out of the safe here, but I don't want to annoy the bank teller. We pop it in every other day, but I'm pretty sure that that class is being fucking stretched out to the max.
That sucks. Yeah, I don't like the feeling of a watch cushion that is like I'm having like just for the same reason I wouldn't try to clamp down an unsized watch. I don't like doing that just because it's a cushion either, unless it's like some super spongy foam. But typically on these watch roll cases, it's not actually that soft. Like
No,
you're
but it
cranking
fits
it
my
down to get it.
Yachtmaster perfectly. As a matter of fact, yeah, it fits the Yachtmaster perfectly. I had to throw the extension on the sub. Fits the Milgauss perfectly. It fit the day date actually to a T. So I mean, it's about as small wrist friendly as you're gonna get.
Interesting. So so there is this. Wait, hold on, wrong thing. So during Black Friday, I was sort of eyeballing whether or not I would get like a more luxurious watch case, more for my wife than myself, because I don't mind the Pelican case, but she wants something a little bit nicer.
Louis Vuitton.
Well, I mean, Archie definitely educated us all on the damn Louis Vuitton watch case, which is now in 5 parts, is my understanding. But even he
He
complains
never
about
really
the
liked it.
cushions.
Yeah, I was about to say he never really. From everyone I've talked to, like I even talked to JJ. He said because JJ allegedly had small wrists as well. Which I don't know. I always thought JJ given, and
Really,
I'm not
JJ's
trying to
got small wrists.
allegedly. I mean, apparently, yeah, his wrist is fairly small. And again, I'm not trying to shoot shots at JJ. Full
Yeah,
disclosure, but I
I've
always
got
seen
small
JJ
wrists.
as the
It's
bigger
not.
guy.
It's not.
Well, no,
It's
like
not
JJ
a.
just looks like a bigger guy. Like he
He does
just
look
looks
like a
very
bigger guy.
husky. Yeah, I mean, like apparently he has a very small wrist. Um, anyways, to the point here, I was talking to him and I said, like, hey, like, did I hear you correctly saying like you weren't like the biggest fan of your LV case? He said, like, yeah, he's like, it fits, but he said it sometimes fits a little wonky depending what you throw on there. But he said, ultimately, he said, you just buy it to flex on people. He said, you don't really buy it for practicality.
You don't get to wear it. What's the point? You're flexing. Like, also, I have no desire for such a case, so it's hard to flex on someone who doesn't want it.
Yeah, the
Also,
Bosphorus, my
it leads
Bosphorus
to bad
case,
habits, right?
right.
You get 10 slots, and so you want to fill them, and so
Mm,
that may lead to purchases you don't really need to make. But more importantly, it leads you to do stupid things like not take your watches to the safe deposit box because it leaves your case looking pretty empty,
yeah.
right? It
I
leads to
mean,
bad habits.
yeah, no, I got 3 watches in the bank safe right now. And the date
Yeah.
it is at the Omega dealer getting torn apart, and 1 watch on the wrist. So I think I've only got 3 watches left in my case.
Yeah. So, so I don't know why this isn't more common. Oh, interesting. It's not showing the overlay, but you can actually choose different cushion sizes for the Bosphorus watch, and the standard size is actually their largest. And I think that's what
Um,
most watch roll manufacturers are doing. Is they just throw in their largest. It's like screw you, women. Screw you guys with tiny wrists.
no, actually, so I actually had a concern about this. Legitimately, when I bought my phosphorus box, I said like, hey, I've got ladyboy wrists. I said,
Yeah.
will these cushions fit? And they said, oh, 100%. They said, what is your wrist size? And I told them, and they said, yeah, if you go with what is it? The standard, whatever. Because don't you, they give you the small size. Yeah. So I went with the small size. And they said, if that wasn't the case, um, write us back, give us your wrist dimensions again, and we will make custom cushions at no charge to you for your
Okay.
box. But that was a few months ago. I don't know if they've changed or not, but I remember I wrote to them about this exact concern, and they said, we're more than willing to do custom work. It takes them longer,
Sure.
but
Yeah. You got
they'll do it.
time. That's good. That's really good because to me, that's my biggest concern is that because I'm buying the box to protect the watch, not do my best to stretch the shit out of the bracelet just so that it looks good in an expensive box. You know, like, the box is
Right.
there for the watches, not the other way around. So if
Actually,
it's not
I heard
perfect,
Archie
then
say the
screw
LV
it.
boxes are not big rest friendly. I heard they're actually on the smaller side.
Yeah, he said it was too small. But I would estimate that Archie's on the very. He's a zero links taken out guy. I think. I'm just
Probably.
guessing. I'm just putting it out there. I'm that's an honest guess. I'm not
I
trying to
mean,
slight the guy.
it's a fair assumption, honestly. I mean, let's not
Well,
beat around
Rolex
the
don't
bush.
provide that many links, first of all. So I don't think people realize that. I think your max before you have to purchase extra links is I think 7.7 and a quarter. I think maybe
I
is
wonder.
max.
I wonder if Mike the
Tudor, I
Snake
think you
has
can go
had
up to
to.
7 and 3/4 without having to order more links.
Huh.
Tudor's the value brand. You get more links.
I was gonna say, I wonder if Mike the Snake has ever had to buy extra links because I know he's got fucking tree trunks for wrists. Like his is like he's like pushing like 7.8, 7.9, something like that, almost an 8 inch wrist.
Wow. That's
That's why
that's a good question because I mean he's got a deep sea right now. Obviously, a
exactly.
deep
That's why
sea
it
is
looks
going
like
to
a
be
Submariner on him. It looks like a
yeah.
sub.
Obviously, such watches are designed. They're big, and so it would be understandable for it to be gravitated towards people who have bigger wrists. But I wonder if Rolex actually even supply any extra links at all compared to say an Explorer one. Explorer 36 has as much has as many links as a deep sea. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Rolex don't mind nickel and diming you ultimately.
Right. As long as you're willing to pay, they'll provide. They will provide.
Yeah. And look, I totally get it on once you step up to the gold pieces because there's really no point in having spare
Right.
gold links and they cost a lot of money. Like they're heavy. Like my wife has to take out all of the gold links bar one on
What?
on her Daytona, all of them bar one. So she's got one optional
Damn.
link. And so there's like four gold links just, they sit in the box.
Ozzy, that's like $1,000 sitting there. Easy.
I
Like
know. I
twelve
think
hundred
it's more. I
bucks.
think it's $2,000.
The whole reason for
Okay.
buying gold watch is for the links.
I
Because
think
I
they're like
asked,
500 each. I think, or
that wouldn't
550. So
surprise me.
yeah. So
Because
I think it's closer to $2,000 worth of. Well, you look at it physically. It's physically and in weight. It's more gold than in all of her gold rings put together, just
right.
in the spare links from the Daytona.
I asked, I said, how much is the links for the stay date? I said, what, 300, 400 bucks? And he just kind of laughed. He said, no, it's like 685 bucks
For a what? A link for a
uh,
what?
for the day date.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Although the links are much smaller than the oyster links.
I only had to drop two.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So the day date will come back. They have an ETA before Christmas. You want that
I
on
don't,
Christmas Day, man. You want that on
I don't
Christmas
think
Day.
so. I don't think it'll be back Christmas Day. I think actually it kind of works on my benefit if it doesn't, if it's not back by Christmas Day, because then I'm just gonna turn around and bitch a little bit and say like, hey, I want to be like top five for that 3-2-1.
Now tell them like I got to have something on my wrist up on Christmas Day. If it's a 3, 2, 1, I won't cry.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think he was testing me a little bit to see if I would take a Snoopy because he said when we were on the phone, he said he's like, "Do you like Snoopy? Are you a big fan of Snoopy the cartoon?" Like he's like, "Do you know that Omega makes one?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you know what it looks like?" He said, "I got one right here." He's like, "I can't sell it to you because the client already bought it, but I can show you pictures of what it looks like." That's no, I know what it looks like. He said, "I'd prefer the 3-2-1 over the Snoopy." So I wonder if he wasn't sitting on another one or getting another one in potentially,
Fuck.
but.
I think I had a conversation about this like a month ago. Snoopy versus Ed White, 3, 2, 1. that's a fucking hard call, man. For you, it's an easy call. You know what? I
So
take I take the
Tim,
Snoopy just because it saves me $5,000. If I'm umming and ahhing between the two that much, I may as well and ah still and have $5,000 in my pocket.
but I think like you can justifiably overcharge for a 321, can't you? It's a little bit more justifiable if you ask for 22,000 on a Ed White than 22,000 on a Soupy.
I I don't know, man. I mean, I know the Snoopies have been all over the place, and Ed Whites have also been. The thing is, I think the Ed White overall has garnered far less attention than the Snoopy has, and I think for a normie to impress normies, the Snoopy's way cooler.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I dropped the pooch on that one a little bit, but
No, I don't know. I think it's totally an and an ah. Like that's a hard choice because, but I think for a normie, it it probably isn't a hard choice. But for someone who fancies themselves actually a horologist, it is a hard choice. But
no, I'd flip it either way. Whether it be a Snoopy or an Ed White, I'd flip it right
that's
away.
right, man. Fuck
Um,
Omega. Those things go straight to gray.
the only thing I would do probably is trade in my current Speedmaster for an Ed White, and knock, basically get the Ed White for 10 grand if I'm lucky. Um, I don't know. Time will
They
tell.
both
No
fill the
pun
same
intended.
niche. They're both the ultimate moonwatch in their own rights.
Right, right.
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I mean, the problem with the Ed White is it's yet another moon watch that is quote unquote more authentic than previous moon watches, but is still not
Yeah,
literally a moon watch from that era. Um,
but I've always
at
looked
least
at
the
the
Snoopy's not pretending to be that. It's not pretending to be the moon watch.
right. It's a gimmick. It's a complete gimmick, 100% a gimmick. But the 321 has also got an outdated movement, and that movement, yeah, I'm sure it can still be serviced for the next 20 years. But what the new Snoopy has, the current movement, like the Snoopy's kind of keep up with the current production of movements, correct? So
It's
you'd
got a
be getting like
3861.
yeah, so you'd be getting essentially a modern watch versus an outdated one that's out of practice.
Yeah. Value retention. Oh, that's a tough one because
I feel like the Ed White, if they don't change the Ed White in the next 20 years, which I don't see that happening, it would outweigh a Snoopy because Snoopy's come out at what, every 10 years, right? Give or take. So
yeah,
eventually you're
I
gonna
would
have
count
too
on
many
it.
fucking Snoopies are out there. Like too many Snoopies are gonna saturate the market where it's going to really, in my opinion, devalue the overall charm that is a Snoopy.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Value retention, it has to go to the Ed White. However, you're tying up another $6,000 with the Ed White, so 60% more for quote unquote more value retention in future. In the meantime, you could drop $6,000 in the stock market and outperform both.
Not currently anymore, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Well, no, I mean stock prices are good right now, right? I mean we're talking 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. Um, you,
Yeah, you could throw 6 grand in an index and walk away with about yeah, if you're lucky, 9 grand in 10 years. If
yeah,
you put it in the
well,
low pool.
I think in 10 years it's reasonable to assume it's doubled. Whether or not the Ed White doubles,
Yeah, if they create a new Ed White in the
Omega
next
might
three
drive
years,
this into the ground. You know,
who knows, honestly? Who the fuck knows? But if
but
they
I
do
mean they
create a
may
new
be pulling an
Ed White,
Hermes. Like my understanding of Hermes is, while yeah, their secondary prices for any current product is good, your used bag nobody wants, basically. Like all value
yeah,
retention and brand value is retained by the brand and not the owners of the bags ultimately.
yeah, no, I get what you mean. I don't know. I guess who knows what will happen here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We'll see how I feel about the day date, depending on what they find is wrong with
I
it. Because
yeah.
I don't know.
I think between the Snoopy and the Ed White, maybe it just comes down to case and looks because the Ed White doesn't have crown guards, right? I think.
Uh, I think you are right, and it's also a 39.5 millimeter. So it's
Yeah,
like a true
I
40.
think that 39.5 thing is a little deceptive. It's only 39.5 because they've removed the crown guards.
Yeah, so yeah, it's whatever, I guess. But you do get more with the Snoopy though, correct? You get two straps, correct?
I don't know. You don't get a bracelet.
Correct. No, you don't get a bracelet, no. But I
So
know
maybe
the
they give
standard
you a
Omega
Velcro
bracelet.
and then the blue strap or whatever it is.
I know the standard Omega bracelet will fit on a Snoopy.
Yes. Did you see how Omega are fucking us over again with the new clasp?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not though. I've yet to confirm this with my Omega dealer.
There was a guy, a good YouTube video, like he shows the
The
the new
glide lock.
clasp. Yeah. Well, I think it's like instead of it being a pin adjustment, they've got like a push mechanism to be able to do it. So you can
Right.
slide in and out by like 2.5 millimeters. So it's pathetic, but it's enough to piss me off because it just
Also,
makes my
yeah.
Speedmaster harder to sell.
Yeah, it makes everyone's obsolete essentially. Yeah, but I don't know if that's so you could technically do this all you could still technically do this the entire time. That's the point though. You could take the chronoscope bracelet and throw it onto a standard Speedmaster and get the same results. The only reason people didn't is because Omega threatened everyone saying like if you do this, we void your warranty. So it's not exactly the
What fucking
greatest.
assholes!
Well, I mean, once Omega found out about it, people were calling in and asking about it, ordering bracelets. Omega knew something was up,
Oh my
um,
god.
so it's not exactly something you'll see all the time, but it is technically possible. And I guess maybe they are starting to kind of roll out with their own line of quick adjust, quote unquote, quick adjust. So who knows?
That's terrible. Like it's just terrible. Like to me to look, updating is fine, but I don't think they increased the price, or at least not yet. Jeez, I don't know.
Oh, and I know you have to buy an extra link, I believe, because you could buy the clasp alone. So you could have done it two ways. You could buy the clasp alone, but you would had to have bought an extra link and keep the bracelet that came with your Omega and just swap out the clasp, or you could buy the actual chronoscope bracelet.
Hmm.
And I think no, I think the only way it would have worked is if you bought the clasp, because the chronoscopes are 44 mils and it wouldn't have worked.
Hmm.
Either way, though, like I said, Omega found out and said we'll void your warranty if we find out you've done it. So
This over a speedy. See this rear view. This is gorgeous, but to a normie, the 3861 is already, it's enough. As in they're just
right.
going to see an array of gears and cogs and stuff, and it's like, whoa, okay. This is not going to impress them more than the 3861. And the in real life, the Speedmaster is already a pretty boring watch. Removing the twisted lugs will make it even more plain Jane. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would take
I'm just
this.
looking at the resale value. Like I said, I feel like more people would be more open to saying like, yeah, I'll pay 5 grand over for an Ed White versus I'll
Mm.
pay 15 grand more for a Snoopy.
But it's so hard to tell because they're such exclusive watches, both of them, and not many people are that well versed in the exclusive Omega game that what represents true difficulty or not. Most people just never try it. They don't have anyone that sells Omega to them.
Yeah, no. See, my Omega reps. I wish he was a paddock dealer. Honestly, I really wish because he really is like the shit to me. Like
Mm.
if he wasn't 3 hours away, I would definitely be in his office a lot more, fucking pestering the shit out of him. He's definitely a cool dude. Um, like I was telling somebody else, like he's a geek, like he's a nerd, he's lanky, but he's definitely a guy who's not afraid to wear what the fuck he wants, you know? Because when I was up there buying the day date, he was wearing his Navy timer, 44 mil. Um, and he was dressed in a suit and whatnot. And he was walking around and it looked like he was wearing a fucking dinner plate on his wrist. But the man was happy as could be. He was walking around
That's
without a
fine.
care in his world.
Yeah. That's me
And
when I'm
I
wearing
gotta
the
give credit to
Pelagos. I don't give a fuck.
that.
Like I don't care that it's big. It's like I love it. I love the watch. It's
I
fine.
know he
Watches are
has a
the size they
44
are not
mil.
because of who wears them. It's because of the design warranted it. And if that's not the case, it's not a great watch design. Like I like the
Yeah,
Date 36. Like the 40 is just crazy big to me. I don't see why it's that big.
Diego would give me so much shit about my 36. He's like, yeah, he's like, you really fucked up on your date 36. He said you kind of bought the garbage model. And yeah, like his reasoning is because like it has loom on the dial. Like he's like, it's got more loom than my Explorer 2. And he's like, yeah, like that's not a cool day date, man. Means you really fucked up.
Wow. That's funny.
uh, I mean, I did look at what current day dates because at the time when I was looking, anyways, there wasn't any to be found in solid gold with champagne dials above 2000. Like I think the newest one, quote unquote, I found was at the time was 2002.
Hmm.
Um, and when I looked again here, there's a few brand new 36 mils 2022s on Chrono 24. Now, admittedly, I only did a quick search, but god damn, they want. I think the lowest one I found was 47,000. And there was like one for like 53,000, 48,000, and it's like,
Mm.
no way would I buy that. No way,
Hmm.
because you're gonna lose massively on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I think I might have to lean towards the Snoopy. Like, it's silly, but it's so hard, man.
I
It's
don't know.
really. At least the
I
Snoopy looks different, you know. It's white with the blue bezel and everything. I don't.
I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see how jacked up that day date is, and if it's something where it needs to be sent back to Rolex, I'll probably push for the Snoopy, like because I know because I talked to him way earlier. This is way before any of this day date shit debacle. And I was talking to him. I was talking to the manager, and I said like, "Hey, can you give me a Snoopy?" He's like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, 100%." He said, He said, "I'm not gonna lie to you. It's gonna be a little bit of a wait, but I can get you one." And I said, really? I said, I've only made like at the time I only bought a Seamaster from him and an Aquaterra. That was it. And I said, really? I
Mm-hmm.
said, I don't need that much more of a purchase history. He just started laughing. He's like, between you and me, the fence post fan. He said, I know you enough to know that you're not going to do anything stupid. He said, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
technically we kind of really play that up to a degree, but he said, look, he said, you're a watch guy, and look, you're nice enough to make the trip to see us because that was my first time ever actually seen him in person. I said, "You're nice enough to actually come up and see us and see me." He said, "It's nice to put a name or a face to the name." He said, "I'd be more
Mm-hmm.
than happy to put you on the list." He said, "But I said I'm not going to guarantee you anything either." He said, "I'm not going to guarantee it within this year, but
Mm-hmm.
after this, who knows? That might be a different story."
Yeah. Actually, now looking at it, Ed White.
Jesus,
This just doesn't seem worth $10,000. I don't know.
so you're
It's
telling me
fine.
if the rep Omega rep came out and she laid both of these on the tray and said, "Hey, take your pick," you would go with the Ed White.
Yeah, looking at this more closely, especially that it doesn't have the bracelet, and I'd have to pay more to get the bracelet. I think it's Ed White.
But you get the exclusive NATO strap with it though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I don't think that. Yeah, I guess I'd pay more and get the Ed White. As we both discussed, the value retention is going to be better. I think I like the look of the Ed White better, and this I don't think this is going to hold up. This is a fun watch, but I don't think it's it's in the same ball game as the Ed White.
I don't know.
It's
I
cool.
mean, if I could, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could get one for my Omega Rep, regardless. Like I said, he's a really cool dude because I remember like the first time I bought a watch from him. Was it the first or second time? I don't know. He said like, where? He's like, where do you live again? And I told
Hmm.
him, and he's like, because I was trying to like knock him down a few bucks on an Akko Terra.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I can avoid the sales tax. He said, would you be willing to like, do you know anybody in Iowa that I can ship it to? I'm like, not really. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, he's a cool guy.
Yeah. I tell you what, that distance does count a fair bit. It means you can't visit very often, but it also means that they can't use you as a problem solver. Um, so, so like I estimate that the Panda Daytona and my wife's Gold Daytona only came about because we're locals, and like we could come in like within the hour
Right.
and give them a yay or a nay. Otherwise, if someone was like, "Oh, I could come in 2 days and have a look," then they would just never call that person. You know what I mean? It would be a waste of their time
Right.
and their own time.
And I guess it's nice enough. They're comfortable enough shipping watches to me. Or maybe it should be the other way around. I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
it's only a 3 hour difference between us, but man, a lot can go wrong in 3 hours.
Hmm. Why is it, they've taken pictures of this watch, but it's clearly dirty. Why
I do that all the
like,
time with mine.
what's your cleaning process? Why is this so hard to do?
Well, you can't. Well, remember, Oz, you can't really get the Speedmaster wet, so you
Well, you
can't
can't
rinse it
dunk
off.
it, but so I just have a hand spray, like for Windex or something like that,
Oh,
and I
you
just have a
asking what
little.
like what I would actually legitimately clean my Speedmaster with? Oh no, I'm a complete dick. So what I basically do is take like a dab of dish soap, wipe it over the crystal real quick, get it to where it's like almost dry on there, and then I basically wash it right underneath the sink, maybe about 5, 10 seconds at most. Go back and forth with it, and then
Mhm.
take cold water, wash off the hard water stains, and then dry it off real quick. But I make sure not to touch the fucking pushers.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I submerge mine. So in a nutshell,
Okay. Yeah, I put mine under running water just briefly, but I do use dish soap, Dawn, but for both the dilution of the dish soap in the bottle as well as rinsing off, I use distilled water because Nevada's water is very, very hard. Like, I think in most cities you're talking about 100 parts per million. Here it's like 400 or something. It's very, very hard. Like my water filters, like if I've got a zero water filter, and that'll take it down to zero, but it uses up the filter. Like how much you can use the water filter is based on how hard your water is basically because it's filtering everything out. And
yeah,
the water filter doesn't even last 11 gallons. Like it's a $20 filter and I get 11 gallons out of it. So it's just cheaper for me to buy distilled water, and that's what I use for cleaning on everything. Because if
right.
you let if the water dries from the tap, you're talking about leaving hard mineral deposits on whatever you've sprayed it on.
Hmm.
And that you can't clean that off. Dish soap doesn't get the hard mineral deposits off, so you can't keep doing that.
See, I don't know. See, I still use my well water, so to speak, which is probably which is basically very harsh water at the same time because
Yeah.
it's literally coming from the ground. But I always I have like the bottled water from Kelligan, so I usually just rinse it right off immediately afterwards. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, I just get distilled water from Walmart. It's like $1 a gallon, and I use it for all cleaning. It's not just my watches. It's
You don't have like
like
a water service? You don't have like Kelligan or an Aquafina near you?
for drinking, I'm fine with filtered water, just Brita. But for cleaning, I'd prefer it filtered more than that.
Interesting.
Yeah, taste wise, Brita's fine, but it doesn't do a perfect job. So it goes from about 400 parts per million down to 180. And I absolutely can taste the difference between Brita
Right.
water filter and zero water filter. But the taste difference isn't bad, as in, I like the taste of Brita.
I see, I don't know. I never got into the whole hype of filters, like the whole like you fuck around with your plumbing just to put it like inject the filter inside
Oh, no,
there.
I'm just using a jug. Yeah, I just use a
Yeah,
jug.
so I use the so I use basically the automatic or yeah, like the Callaghan water service where you just, you're swapping out the gallons per week essentially.
Oh, right.
Um
Wow.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, if we didn't start doing that, so I don't think we did. I'm trying to remember because I drank water. I'm one of those old enough people who say I drank water right from the fucking garden hose, essentially. And we didn't start drinking from Callaghan water essentially until like 2010 or whatever. And ever since we did that, it was just, oh, this shit tastes great. We don't want to fucking drink from the sink anymore. So
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I drank tap water where I'm from in Australia, Melbourne, but tap water in Melbourne is pretty soft. So the taste was fine, but every other city in the world I've been to has been much worse, except for Switzerland. When I was living in Zurich, that tap water was fine. Everywhere else, it's just disgusting to me. So
it's
it
flavorless. I mean, it's weird to say. Like, I hate to be like that one guy who's like, oh, I don't drink water because it doesn't taste like anything. No, like tap water just tastes flavorless, or at the very least bitter, or something like that. Just when you drink bottled water, essentially, you don't want to go back after a while.
As I said, I'm fine with filtered water, and it's not perfect filtration like zero water filters are, but just the Brita ones, like $9, lasts for like 100 gallons. It's perfectly fine. I do like I did like zero water for like a green tea or something like that, something where it's primarily water is the flavor, but it's not a make or break, especially after I discovered that I can only get about 11 gallons out of a zero water filter, and that's like $20. So it's like $2 a gallon. I'm like, no, I'm stopping that. That's not working. Not working for me at all.
Yeah, you know what? I think it cost me. So technically, I'm living alone, obviously nowadays, but I think it cost me $80, $80 a month for my water gallons and plus water softener. So I mean, it's not terrible.
Yeah, so
I
the
get like
water
5 gallons.
softener, as my understanding, I think it's an ion deposit filtration system. Effectively, those water softeners. So
Mhm.
that's legit water filtration. If you've got those water softeners and so on, many people do here in Las Vegas. That's for sure.
I just use it for the shower more or less, and that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. It's been over an hour. I'm not a super long stream guy. I really appreciate talking to you, Meech. As always.
Yeah, yeah, no. Perhaps we'll see you around. But remember, buy the Pam.
Yeah, I'll get a Pam. I don't know a single model. It's like the
Just buy
shit
the one
is
that's three
the
bar,
shit
3 bar.
3 bar for a dive watch.
Well, I'm sure, like, doesn't Panerai have like two in their catalog that are like that, like the 3 bar, and they're like
Oh my god.
submersibles?
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they're there mostly for looks, right? It's not really coveted as a tool watch in the same way.
It is what it is, I guess. But man, I would hate to try and sell a Pam nowadays, especially nowadays. Like
Well, I
nobody wants to
mean,
buy one unless it's directly from the boutique. Nobody wants to buy a Pam anymore. It's because they're just too much of a risk.
but the MSRPs are just super high for what they are, right? That's my
Correct. I mean,
understanding.
they're like
They're
seven.
like they start at 12 or something like that.
Entry level's like 7 grand, give or take. If that I include tax with that, I think it's a little less than that.
Let me have a quick look at their products. I'm sure I'm going to be so. Okay, so the submersible. Okay, Discover. Let's see what they throw at me. What's the first watch that they throw at me? And how
The
much
rose
does it
gold
cost?
submersible.
Oh, this is a Carbotech. Okay, Luminor Do. That's the first steel watch I think that is on the page. 6,800. Okay, that's not disgusting.
Yeah, but you look at the Greyhound prices at them, and they're like 3.5.
Because they're using pretty like
ETAs.
yeah. So that's that's really it. It's like MSRP for an ETA. Very very bad. All right.
All right.
Thank you again,
Yeah.
Meech. I'll catch you
Yep. See
around
ya.
on other streams probably.
Yeah. See ya.
See ya.